Hello, this is Robert, and I want to welcome you to this next session that we're going to have. This is another Bob Ross painting that we're going to do. I'm a Certified Bob Ross Instructor. This one, I think you're really going to enjoy. It's called Golden Rays, step-by-step process that we're going to go through. This is one that if you've never touched a brush in your life, never painted before in your life, never drawn in your life, this is one you can do. You can get wonderful results. It's a good bridge to the other Bob Ross paintings, but this one you'll be very happy with when you're done. There's no mistakes on this one. Very smooth and easy to do. So let's get started. Let me show you what we're going to use for equipment. I'm going to take my little guys down here and get them out of the way so we can begin. Okay, we're going to start with a black canvas. You can buy these pre-made black at one of your craft stores or from bobross.com, or else you can just use black gesso and paint them black. Let them completely dry, and then you can begin working. So black canvas. Next, we're going to apply some, this is going to be gessos first. Now these gessos are just an undercoat for our paintings. So we're going to use black and white gesso and a little bit of gray, black wood mixed with the white, to make some of the background. We're going to do all the background first, and then we're going to come in with color. We're going to use a liquid clear once everything's dried. Then we're going to use, the colors that we're going to use for this will be Pletheo blue. We're going to use Indian yellow. We're going to use a little bit of red, maybe red-green combination. We'll sign our names with red, of course. We might even throw a little bit of mauve in there, but you don't need that color, but that could be another one too. But basically, Pletheo blue and Indian yellow. Now you could make this one with also sap greens and maybe pinks or so, but today we're going to make it with Pletheo blue is going to be our main color. So we'll go back, start over here. And I have my black canvas, as I mentioned. We're not going into the Bob Ross colors yet. We're going into some gessos, which is the white gesso, the black gesso. These are kind of acrylic type based paint. You can either take and scrunch this paper towel up for our beginning, which I'll show you. I'll do the beginning like that. So I take a little bit of that scrunched, and I'm going to find the center that I want of my light, where my light's going to be. Down in this 1/3 section, that's going to be foreground. But above here is going to be our top portion where we're going to have all our trees. So decide where your light source is going to be. I'll say it's going to be right about here. Now, you start in the center and you work your way out. Every time I come back, I start in the center again and work my way out. Now, another way that you can do this, if you have a nice sponge, this is one of those sea sponges with all these beautiful things inside here. So this works quite well too. So here I go here. And you want to, no mistakes here. You want to dance around all these nice colors. That's where our colors are going to be. So come to center, dabbing out. These are going to be our background foliage. Every time we go, we start in the center and work our way out. Dab, dab, dab. Keep going, center. And we'll come to about 2/3 of the way down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the black gesso and put it with the white. So I have a gray mixture on here. I just want to darken the ends of this with a little bit of gray gesso. That'll force our eye to go toward the center. So we got a little bit of gray gesso. We've got the white where our light source is going to be. We'll come down here a little bit. Okay. So basically that's our background here. And that'll be our foliage. Now I'm going to come in here with my foam brush. If you're at home, you could probably wait till this dries. Wait till this first layer dries, but we don't have. This is we go live on these things, so I don't have the luxury of doing that. But I'm going to show you how we do it, and we'll go, even though it's not quite dry yet. We load our brush with some blacks. This would be making our trees. And again, I have the foam brush, and you decide where your trees are going to be. So I start at the top. I just build a nice tree down there. You can have as many as you want. Okay. One over here. I like to basically, I like to have it go into the forest, so the light goes in here. So you might find that I put the trees on a kind of a V-type section pointing upward. So thicker at the bottom. So you see it goes this way. And we don't want the other side to be left out. So we come back here and we'll get this one. Again, see I have the V here. One here, maybe one more here, maybe a little one that's come at an angle. Then I'm going to take my white gesso. I got my white loaded up here, and I'm going to put a couple white ones on the end. Here we go. One over here. Put another one right here. So we have a mixture of nice white ones, a little bit of grayish goes in toward the front with black. And again, we have this, you see it's forcing your eye to go into that center part over here and over here, which is what we want. Okay. Now we can go with a little mixture of grays and whites, And I'm just going to kind of push up some suggestions of shrubs in here that are going to be in here. And I'm still going to go the same route with our angles. Now this section you could also come back and do with your sponge, or you could use a nice, maybe we'll do this. Maybe I'll take this fan brush and I'll put in some colors here. Now remember, when you're using these brushes, you want to get those cleaned up quite quickly. Get the gesso off your brushes, because they will harden on you and they'll ruin your brush. Come back down here a little bit more. Okay, so we have that part going. Now you would take, with your liner brush, and this is where all your wonderful work goes in. You'll take your liner brush, you can dip it in some water to make it flow, and again I'm using my little tray of acrylic paint. So you want to be nice, free, loose on these. So you're going to build all these wonderful little patterns in here. Of limbs, branches. Again, make them nice and loose. Flick them up. You're building a nice little framework. And remember, we're going to put some color over this in a little bit. First, we're going to just build. It's going to be our blueprint. Our blueprint for our trees. Make some go this way too, because they don't just end at the edge here. Now I put tape around mine because I like to have a border when I'm done. You may not want that, so you may not want that border on there. I do. So if you don't want that, leave it off. This brush, liner brush, holds a lot of paint, and you want to hold it kind of toward the end so you can really get it nice and flowing movements. If you have any kind of a shaky hand, again, for beginners, just started this, you don't have to worry about drawing this. If you have a shaky hand, this is better. This makes these limbs really quite nice. So you can make as many of these as you wish. And if you wish, you go out into the woods and just look at some of these branches if you want a model for them. And there's Bob would say. You go out there and talk to them, make friends with your wooded area, see what's going on out there. This has been being made during the COVID crisis, so we're at home quite a bit, quarantined. So you got time. So, trees don't give you the virus, so go out there and visit with them. If you can't go to visit people, go out there and enjoy all the wonderful the beauty of nature. Okay, I'm not going to do all these. You can put as many as you want in here because I got another palette down here. I got another canvas down here that I've already made because you have to let this dry. You let it dry. Gesso dries up quite quickly, but we're going to put some liquid clear over it, so so we can put the oil colors on it. So it's really got to be nice and dry completely. And a few more things down here. And you can do as many of those as you want. Sometimes you could come in here with your palette knife. I've scooped up a little roll of paint on there from our gesso, and I can just lift up some nice thin branches in the woods. This works quite well. Again, just a thin roll of paint on here and just lifting up. This gives some extra depth. To our painting. If you don't have a palette knife, you could use an old credit card, just the edge of that, and that works very nice too. Okay, this side a little bit. And again, you want some, they don't just end at that border, so you can make a few branches that come the other way. So you have that going on. Just a couple more of these. So I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to come back to my foam brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that black and gray color, and this is going to be, I will decide on what this is going to be. Could be some water, it could be a path, but we'll just get some colored, some of our gesso down there also. We might even take our fan brush again and we could put a little bit of kind of a flow of water coming down here. This doesn't show up very well right now, but we'll come back to it. If this was water, if not, it'll be a path. Okay. So again, make sure that once you're done with your brushes here, you get that gesso out of them. Get it in water, let them soak in water, and clean those brushes out, because these brushes are very expensive and you don't want that gesso to go in there hard, harden, and ruin your brushes. So we have all this done. So we have our basic background in there. So what I'm going to, now you have to let this completely dry, as I said. So you're going to have to let it dry either overnight or at least a couple hours before you can put the next step on here. So I'm going to take this down and I'm going to get another canvas that I have already done. Excuse me. And I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to put Bob away down here. And you can see what I have already done on this canvas. Okay, so here we have it already set. This is the same thing. We have the gesso, we have the background foliage, the limbs, the branches, all ready to go. So I'll take the liquid clear. This is just going to make our oil paints go on nice and easily. That means we're going to have to add less paint on there. So I'm taking the liquid clear, and this has got to be super thin. So remember that. Sometimes, and we'll probably do this, we'll come back and we'll even take the towel and take some of it off. So I'm just going to go over this painting with the liquid clear. Very, very thin coat. Back and forth. Now, like I said, if this was not dry, then this would smear. So you've got to make sure that your gesso has dried completely. And as I mentioned, if you don't happen to have gesso and you have a can or a jar or a tube of black acrylic, it's possible to use that, and you should be, it should work for you, but gesso is the preferred product for this. Now, to make this painting, you only need a few paints and a few, as we said, a few colors and a few supplies. You don't even need brushes. We have the foam brushes, which are, under $1 at the store. So you have those brushes, foam brushes, paper towels. You could just do it with paper towels. If you don't have the sponge, it would work quite well. And just maybe one or two of the colors. Now, BobRoss.com, they do make a beginner's kit and a more advanced kit that you could buy, and you'd have everything, not the gesso, of course, and not the canvas, but you'd have paints, and you'd have cleaners, and you'd have brushes, and the palette knife, and it's quite a nice investment. It's a very low cost investment to make your painting. So we've got this liquid clear on here. And as I said, I might even come back in here and take my paper towel . Make sure you don't have paper towels that shed. Although that would be texture, so it wouldn't be as bad. So I might just take a little bit and just make sure that I have it, that I don't have any big pools, because that will draw the colors down. make your colors drip. So excuse me while I move this water. The brush is over here. Clean my fan brush out. And my liner brush. Now this is the fun part. Okay, I have my colors on here. So I have my titanium white, I have my phthalo blue, I have a little bit of cad yellow, Indian yellow, a little bit of red, and this is kind of a blue reddish type thing. So my main colors is my main color will be the phthalo blue, and I only need a little bit at the end of this brush. So I just come in here and I tap, tap, tap at the end. Very little color in there. As you can see, just a little bit on there. And I come at the top. And this is what's really nice if you have some friends that you're painting for and you have this already made and you put this on, and it's really quite a nice effect for you. They love to see this. So here we go. We take the color. Now you can see that I've got more dark in the corner here, which is good because that's bringing my eye down here. So I'm just going to start making some X's, covering all that area up. X's would be great on this. Little X's. Coming down. Now this is beautiful in Sap Green. You could use a little bit of browns in here if you wanted. You want it in browns. Indian yellow is great on this. Okay. I think that's beautiful. Excellent. Again, Sap Green looks wonderful in this. A little bit more blue up here. As I said, we'll get our eye into that. Okay. I'll have just a little bit more blue in this corner. Now you could mix a little bit of Prussian blue in that also, or you could use black to darken just into the corners if you wish. But I'm just doing it with another layer. Now, I'm going to take and clean my brush. We clean our brushes with odorless paint thinner. So I have a jar of that here. And I have what they call a brush beater rack that I put in a trash can. So I beat that across there so we have a nice clean brush. And now I'm going to go into my Indian yellows. So I tap, tap, tap into here. And I'm going to come down to my bottom part, and I'm just going to add a little bit of Indian yellow down here. This section. All the way down here. I'm going to make a little bit of brown in here. So I'm going to make this part a little bit more brown in there. So I'm going to take some Sap Green. I'm going to take some of this Sap Green and I'm going to mix it with my red. And that gives me a brownish, nice foresty brown. So I'm going to make just this end a little bit darker down here. You put a little bit in here too. Just X's again. Okay. Set this down. I'm going to clean my brush again. And I'm going to just, with a clean brush, clean dry brush, I'm going to just lift up here a little bit of that color so it goes into the trees. That's a little bit of the green mixed in there. Now, I'm going to take some nice dark browns in here. You could just leave this with the gesso, black gesso. Or you could come in this path. Now this is where you'd have your option. You could make that water. Or you could make that a nice brown, which will indicate a path. And then you could come with some, I'm going to adjust my light a little bit. You could come with your palette knife and I'm just going to take some of this titanium white, spread it out, a little bit of my browns. I'm going to get a marbly mixture. I'm going to cut across my palette knife. And then just come in here and lightly build a little bit of a path. Now, as I said, you could put some water in here too if you wished. That could have been blue. And it could be some water. We'll make it a path. Then I'm going to come back here with my brush. Just put a little bit of foliage in there. A little grass. Just tapping some color. And we will come on this side a little bit. Get the path in here. So we have that. Take our brush, clean it. Clean, dry brush. And I'm going to just very lightly just touch it and blend it in. Come back, add a little bit of more green foliage. Just tapping some greens in there. Okay. So, I'm thinking that that's fairly well set. Just kind of glance over it again. Now, if you like this, just leave it like this. This is fine. But you can do another step if you wish. And this is kind of fun too. I'm going to take a nice dry brush. I'm going to come back in here with my titanium white. I'm just going to have a little bit at the end here, just a little bit at the corner. And I'm going to come in where this kind of fork is, and I'm just going to tap. Just going to tap some color in there. This would be where our sun really zings through. Brightest spot. Take our clean brush, come up here, and we'll just tap some rays out here. So you're really getting, you're in the forest and you see these nice rays of light come zinging down. And you can think that, well, there's the light, that's where I need to go. Okay, so that really, as I said, that's an optional thing. It's kind of fun. It really zings some light into your forest. So I think with that, I'm going to take the liner brush, I'm going to put it into a little bit of paint thinner, and we'll just come up here. We'll just sign this one. Okay, I'm Robert. I think you can try it. It's like I said, this is a very nice bridge to Bob Ross paintings. It's one of his easier ones. I think you can enjoy it. I know it's so easy for you. Yours will be better. You'll have a little bit more time to go through it. You could do this with greens in here instead of the blue. You could do it with a light pink, as I said. You could do it with some Indian yellow. Any transparent paint. You can't use like titanium white's not transparent. You have to really water that down, but not with white, not with black. That's not transparent. But one of your other nice colors that you could use, but as I said, green is lovely, blue, and maybe mauve would be good. Some purples, some of those colors would be wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Try it. Very inexpensive. Good for you to just work your way into a nice painting, and something you can share with your family. So join us again. Look at our other videos. I may come back with another one of these, doing it in mauves and purple. May not, but that might be on our website too. So enjoy this one and come back again, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.